are listening to Dr. Troy Munson with Words of Radiance. Now here is your host, Dr. Munson.
I get tears from clients often, not because I'm mean, but but because they're on this path, and it isn't easy, but we tend to make it a bit more difficult than it really is. And one of the founding principles, I guess, through this process of spiritual growth is we really do have to be willing to endure and suffer out the process. And though it does not have to be suffering, it often is. And we get stuck in this judgment. So if you're out there and you're like, I just feel so stuck and everybody seems against me and bad things keep happening to me and dramas constantly around me and the people at my office they're just not nice to me at all. And I keep trying to do the right thing. And it seems like it doesn't matter how much nice I do, it just keeps being bad. Even people that are around me that should love me and care about me, they don't seem to respect me, and they seem to be rude and all these things and so on and so forth. If this even remotely sounds like you, and you're heading toward that spiritual light in the sky, so to speak, I'm going to encourage you at this point, and you do have to be willing to endure, but you actually don't have to suffer. Suffering is optional. And there will be times when you'll be crying your eyes out, wondering why you're doing it all. But ultimately, even those tears are another level of, I'm just going to say it, lies that we believe in our own head. There's so much judgment that goes on in our own head. And ultimately, if we look back in our life and we realize that these things may be happening for quite a few years, decades, what have you. And this freight train that has been going down this road or this track has been speeding up and building momentum for however long you've been doing this. How fast can you turn a train around? There ain't nothing fast about turning no train around. And so it tends to be something that we have to endure out. But in that process, we can get quite a bit done by staying very conscious and not getting sucked into the thoughts that barrage us. And so if you haven't done any of my podcasts on even meditation, even simple meditation, I'm going to go through just something very simplistic, even right now, just so that we have a baseline. So in your head, if you're like, yeah, my head's never at peace, then this hopefully will be your first moment of peace. And what we're going to do, what we're going to attempt to do, is to, first of all, eliminate thought for just a few seconds. And if we can, we're going to watch them flood back in. And what works really well is if you're in a kind of a bad way right now and you've got a lot of things that you're thinking about and you're just in your head and you just happen upon this podcast because for whatever reason, Spirit was speaking loud and clear and you're here. Great, this is for you. And this is good practice for the rest of us that maybe aren't in some dire straits right now. But what I'll do with clients is I'll get very still, very quiet, and I'll listen. And right now where you are, you can push pause on me and listen. Listen for the slightest sound, something small, something you have to work towards. You can pause now if you wish. So if you kind of did a little of experimenting and you found that very still, very tiny sound, maybe you have a laptop and it's got just the tiniest fan. I can hear mine from across the room even now, just barely. And as you listen to it, if you can stay watchful in that peace and then begin to watch the thoughts flood back in. Now, for myself, I've done this so many times and for so many years that the thoughts pretty much stay away. They don't come flooding back in. They just aren't there anymore. And mostly they're just tired of telling them that I'm not buying what you're selling. Go somewhere else. And so I typically don't listen to my thoughts because I know the vast majority of the brain's thoughts are fear driven, and they don't help me at all, or you or anyone. I can't be peaceful, and if I'm not peaceful, then I'm of no use to anybody else. So as I grow my peace and as you grow your peace, you're going to be more and more helpful, not only to yourself, and you're going to find your level of happiness and peace go way up because fear will be something that you have begun to master. Then all of a sudden, now people are going to start coming to you for help. And these are the little things that you're going to help them do. And so thoughts themselves, as they start plowing into your consciousness yet again, and you find yourself lost in those thoughts about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and oh, I better do this, and I better do that, and oh, yeah, I've got to do that. All these things tugging and vying for your time and your energy and your mind begin to be less and less and less. And that's what we're looking for. And then all of a sudden, now it's just not so difficult anymore. I have a much greater level of happiness in my life. Everything changes. But then the interesting things start happening as you go down this road. The turbulence of those around you that are not on this road of development begin to destabilize within you because you have changed. That means everyone around you must move to a different place. So if you've let go of negativity in your life, they actually have to as well in order to tolerate being around you. Now, if they absolutely don't want to grow, which some don't, they're not many, luckily, but some people will not grow, and therefore they will leave. Now, part of their growth is in that leaving process. So they may leave for a little bit, they may leave for a long time. I don't know. But I'm preparing you for that because that is one of the eventualities of the spiritual growth pathway. As you let truth in and let it grow and pervade all parts of you, that old proverb or proverbial, the leaven throughout the unleavened bread, begins to rise. And so as it permeates every part of you begins to rise. And it moves away from these lower depth thoughts and thinking patterns and negativity into more and more elevated light, heights, love, joy, peace, all these amazing places that you can go. And then you'll have times where you feel completely stuck and you have tears and crying and angst and anger and impatience and frustration. And yet this is another level of brain or egoic involvement that's trying to seduce you, if you will, or confuse you and distract you so that it can glean a little bit more of your infinite wellspring of energy that is bottomless within you, that is your core. There is no end to love inside of you. It just keeps coming out. There is no end to peace because peace is eternal. It is beautiful. It is infinite. And so you can give as much peace and as much love away, and you'll always get more. If you're giving it away and you don't feel like you have more, you didn't actually give it away. But as you begin to flow that patience, that peace, that kindness, that joy, more and more and more, and those people around you begin to have more guilt and shame heaped upon them because they know they're treating you poorly. And part of it, they're doing it for a reason, but now it's their time to shine and to let go of the negativity in them and for you to invite them into love's presence, into light's presence, into the presence of life, the presence of truth, the presence of love, Christ's presence, God's presence, however you want to put it. As you slowly invite them without words, you're just holding that space for them. And they exhaust themselves in all of their vomiting upon everyone around them, and you included, even though they will try to vomit on you. But of course, it can't stick to you because you've told it, no, thank you, I'm not buying. Whatever it is you're selling, go somewhere else. I've tried on those clothes. I don't like them. I'm doing something else. And so as you begin to not buy what others are trying to sell to you, and you hold on to that wonderful peace and that love that you are, and then they begin to step out of the world's ridiculousness and its drama, and they begin to sit with you more and more and enjoy company with you and play at love's game rather than fear's game. And they begin to have loving relationships that are more pleasing and pleasurable and joyful and happy than they could ever imagine. And they wonder why they waited so long. And so these are the kinds of things and the conversations that you want to start having truly as a messenger of God that you are. If you're listening to this, you likely are. You wouldn't have found it and listened this long if you weren't. So I encourage you there. But some of you may need to still dig a little deeper and let go of some of these things and maybe make a little bit better decision for love and for peace and for light and for joy instead of for the things of this fleshly world that are not lasting, that are inevitably going away, and that are here today, gone tomorrow. We're going for the things that go on forever and ever and ever. And that is the path that we've decided as we've gone down this. So in the beginning, it can be rocky. Hang in there. See through the ego's shenanigans. Don't let one tear fall from your eye without question. How would I question it? Ask where it came from. Well, I'm sad. Why are you sad? Well, I'm miserable. Why are you miserable? I don't know. Well, go look. And as you ask those harder questions and you don't let go and you force your brain to show you what its foundation is. And when you see how flimsy that foundation is. Now, some of you, if you think you're just a body, death can seem like a pretty significant foundation. But I'm just here to tell you that whatever is alive cannot die because life is eternal. Whatever dies was never alive. So if the body you think it's alive and it can die, I'm sorry to tell you, it was never alive. You, which are life, are inside of it, animating it. But once you leave the building, that building is going to crumble back into dust and water, which it is. And from the earth it came, and back to the earth it will go. But you, my friend, you will be forever. I hope that kind of cuts through some things there as well. Until next time, I'm Dr. Troy-Munson.